Hey, my name's Ed. I run a physio practice in Tooting and have done for the last 3 or 4 years. And today I'm going to share with you some of the experience I've had in the last 9 years of being a physio and share with you some of the opportunities we've got at Instant Physio, give you some interview tips and share with you something called the Arrival Fallacy as well. So I want to kind of put myself in your shoes. You're just at the end of your course, you're excited to graduate, lots of barriers and lots of things to go through with getting your first job. And a lot to look forward to, but also a lot to kind of still work hard at as well. And one of the big things that I would say is a huge advantage for someone who's looking for a job, and when we come to interview people, is when the person is really clear on where they want to be and really clear on their vision of what's important to them. And that doesn't mean you have to have a specific timed kind of goal in terms of what job you want or what discipline or anything like that, but it needs to be distilled down to what they want to experience. So whether it's, I want lots of new experiences, I want a huge breadth of experiences in physio before I decide to do anything, or it might be, I want to be inspired, I want to work in an environment which is inspiring, whether that's in something which is where I started, which is working in a hospice for the first 6 months of my career. It was very rewarding because the impact you had, for me, it wasn't quite technical enough and that there wasn't enough to grow and learn about, but definitely hugely rewarding. So you want to really find out what you're most looking for, and that will dictate which steps and what kind of sort of facet of physio you go into. If it's you love being in a team environment and like an intense team environment, that would be more down the sport route, or maybe even on the wards where you're working with lots of different disciplines. But really, you want to find out what makes you tick. And for me, I love giving, I love being engaged, I love being in the flow state, and that's probably why I've gone down to kind of growing a business, physio business, and for me, coaching staff is one of the big things that I really like at the moment. And there's something called the Arrival Fallacy, which I wanted to share with you, which is this feeling of when I graduate, everything will be perfect. When I get my first job, everything will be perfect. When I get the big yacht, it'll be perfect. And all that happens is you end up just chasing the next thing, and you never actually fulfills. And it's really important to know this at the start of your career, because otherwise you're waiting for the next big thing to be fulfilled, and you're only fulfilled for the moment that it happens. And it's really key to be living in the moment, have goals that are important to you, but don't get stuck in the cycle of when I'm an ESP, when I can do this, when I can, when I've got this, because you won't be fulfilled. And the moment that you get whatever it is you're looking to be fulfilled by, that only lasts for a moment, and then you're on to the next thing. And it's a problem for ambitious people, and it's a problem for physios, because we're very driven, we're very motivated, we're very conscientious, we really want to be the best, and sometimes it can be a huge source of stress. So just be aware of that. And in terms of interview tips, there's obvious ones, all your technical stuff you need to know inside out, and physiology, you need to be breathing good, your posture needs to be open, fake it till you make it, get those power poses. That helps to relieve some of the stress and anxiety. But I would say the big one is the gap between where you think you should be and where you are, which is, I want to be this, the best physio ever, or I want to be a band 6 or 7 or whatever, and where you're at now, which is a new grad. That gap is what I call like the kind of valley of worry, and it's because where you think you should be is not where you are. So you have this massive void, and that creates a lot of stress and anxiety. Whereas if you're more humble and more realistic, and you realize you are a new grad, and you say to the interviewer, do you know what? I haven't had a huge amount of experience in that, and then present, your attitude to experiencing new things and your attitude towards tackling barriers and overcoming barriers, and show some experience and some examples of that. that's what's going to make you stand out. If someone blags it, someone tries to lie, that's when the interviewer is just going to switch off and move on to the next person. Whereas if you can say, do you know what, I haven't got experience in that, but I know that if I did get a job with you and this was presented to me, this situation, or I know that this is how I would tackle it based on my attitude and based on my approach to similar situations in the past. So I hope that makes sense. And be humble, be honest, be open. The interviewers aren't looking for the perfect polished products when you're a new grad. They're looking for someone who's got good attitude, has some sense, and can do the basics. And that's what we hire for, really. When we're looking at people who have less experience as a physio. Probably running out of time now. Really, the opportunity that we have is an MSK role. There's no chest physio, there's no sputum, and it's strictly, to be honest, say sports injuries, 70% of them are going to be runners, footballers, people who like to be active, but they're not like fitness freaks who, they're not like professional athletes, they're just people who like to be active. So you get a real nice kind of relationship with the patients, they're really nice people, and you kind of really get a feel for the community. And we gear up our training, coaching, and development programs towards the thing I talked about at the start, when are they at their best? So we'll find that out on day one. What do you love to do? What makes you feel good? And we'll try steer the training and development towards making sure that they get that out of, whilst working with us. So we're massive on coaching, training. There's loads of courses that we put our staff on. And we want to be not the best, but because, again, that's the Arrival Fallacy, but we want to be really raising the standards and doing the best possible job we can in every single situation. So I'll be around later, so hopefully we'll catch up.